What's good, everyone? My name is TheYoungkingken, and welcome to the kingdom. Today I will be sharing with y'all my top 10 favorite video games of all time. Now, why am I doing this as my first video? I want to show you all who I am and what kind of content I'll be posting for the channel, as well as having a light-hearted discussion, with a little bit of salt on the side. I'll be posting seasoned gaming and related content on the regular, so I'd really appreciate it if you click that like and subscribe button, as well as hitting the notification bell so that you can get the scoop on whenever my vids drop. Before I begin, here are some things that you should know about this list. This list contains games from any era of gaming, meaning that I'll be talking about some mainstreams, some indies here and there, and some old school games, so get excited. Also, I'll be talking about games that I have completed. Now, this doesn't mean that I've completed 100% of it, just the base story. This list is definitely subject to change, so I'll make more updates as deemed necessary. And the most important part, the games that I rank are completely of my own opinion, so don't hate. Because if you do, haters gonna hate. Now let's begin. Number 10, Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud is an action RPG for the PlayStation 2 made by Level 5. A lot of praise goes to the combat as you crawl through several dungeons defeating enemies, and I love how there are a variety of weapons to use, characters to play as, and enemies with strengths and weaknesses that will test every inch of your combat capabilities. Also, for each entry of the dungeon, you will not get the same experience as enemies, keys, items, and the map layout are randomized. Now, I could go on about the combat, but in the dungeons, there are orbs that you must collect to rebuild different areas destroyed by the Dark Genie. It's almost like a city simulator, which is a great break from the combat, as you are rebuilding the town. Many critics will argue that this game is most similar to the Ocarina of Time due to the gameplay mechanics, but I think Dark Cloud is a little bit more complex. I love this game to death, which inspired a lot of the systems in later games made by Level 5, such as the Ni no Kuni series. Dark Cloud definitely deserves a spot on this list. Number 9, Streets of Rage 4. Now, this game is a celebration and culmination of the Streets of Rage trilogy, and much more, and you can tell by the sheer amount of gloss the art style has right from the jump. Now, the soundtrack is something that I would bump to the whip downtown with the volume up just to let the bass kick. Bars. And this is all superb, and I haven't even gotten to the gameplay yet. It's the beat 'em up style where you go through various baddies using all sorts of kick, grab, and punch combos by the variety of characters that you can pick from, which really increases the replayability as each run through will seem like a fresh experience. Now, you don't have to experience the journey alone, and you can whoop some bottoms with a friend or three. Now, this is a good way to let out some steam as you play some rage on the streets. I'll stop. But my only major gripe that would limit this game to be higher on the list would be that I just want more stages. Now, that could be me sounding greedy, but I'll move on. Number 8. Mario Odyssey. And on this theme of nostalgia, we got Mario Odyssey. This really seems like a sequel to Super Mario 64, with similarities to gameplay except for Odyssey's primary gimmick, which is Mario's companion, Cappy. As you traverse through cities, blizzards, jungles, and many other kingdoms, you will take control and progress with the many creatures and items in the kingdom. I love platformers that allow you to do a lot. And with 880 moons that you'll be collecting, you'll be doing the most. The music also is catchy and makes you want to shake your Joy-Cons. Why did I make the script like this? Whatever. There are plenty of Mario and Nintendo related Easter eggs that make you want to look for more. This game is just huge and I enjoyed each run through of it. Number 7, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, I've debated for eons with myself about whether or not this game was better than Sonic Mania. Spoiler alert, it is, simply because there's a lot going on with this game. or games? You know what? I'm gonna go with games. Because there are definitely 2 games in one fully complete experience, as there are a variety of zones to go through as Sonic, Tails, and the newly introduced Knuckles the Echidna. What I like about this game is that there are many different ways that you could traverse through each stage as each character, which makes replay value a plus. And what also makes this game a plus over Mania is that there is a dedicated story, which really got me into the whole Sonic the Hedgehog lore. Yes, I've read through the comics, watched the TV shows, and much more, and this game really made me a Sonic fanboy, and in my opinion, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the greatest 2D platformer ever. And yep, I'm going to get some hate for that one. Number 6. Crash Bandicoot Warped. The original Crash Bandicoot trilogy has a special place in my heart as some of the most astonishing platforming of the 90s. This is why I was so stoked when the Insane Trilogy was announced. It was an instant buy. However, I liked one game significantly over the others on this trilogy, and that's where Crash Bandicoot Warped came in. The gameplay is definitely a fresh take on 3D platforming, going through a variety of levels that take you to unique areas throughout time, such as the medieval, prehistoric, futuristic, and much more. And as you progress through the game, defeating Dr. Cortex's minions, you gain unique abilities that will aid you in collecting the game's, collectibles. You gain crystals by completing the levels, gems for breaking all of the crates, and relics for completing a level in a certain amount of time, and much more. Trust me, there are a lot of secret gems and areas in some of the levels that make replaying them so much fun to explore. Which is why they expanded on this idea into a more fully fledged adventure in Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. I haven't completed the game yet, but this will definitely change the top 10 list when I complete it. Number 5. Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut. For the longest time, this was my number 1 until 2017, and the next 4 games that I'm going to mention completely defied my expectations. But anywho, Sonic Adventure was that game for me as a child that I would play the most. It was the 6 various storylines all connecting to a centralized story that did it for me. Each story was a different experience as you run through stages as Sonic, fly through races as Tails, collect shards of the Master Emerald as Knuckles, and much more. There's even a child garden that you get to raise your own adorable child, which takes a break from the action. There are also challenges that once you complete each character's story that have you running back to the stages. But I have to be honest though, nostalgia does play a factor in the placement because I questioned some of the decision making that Sega was thinking, specifically when they were so-called fishing for a certain storyline, if you catch my drift. But it was a big, experiment that made me appreciate the game even more. I hope this game gets remastered someday, hoping the rumors and the leaks are true. Number 4. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Kart races are a fan favorite, and everybody likes to say that Mario Kart does it justice. Well, newsflash, it doesn't compared to Crash Team Racing, which is the king of kart racers, and I'll tell you why. This is one of the few kart races with an adventure mode that ties in all of the original tracks. It has a dedicated boost system and item balancing that allows the game to be competitive, unlike the competitors. The remaster brings all that back with more tracks, characters, challenges, modes, and much more that keeps you coming back for more. This game could be higher on the list, but I did not like the whole microtransaction situation, which was a minor gripe, but the online was a very terrible experience for me. I want this fixed in a sequel so bad, and maybe this could be higher on the list. Number 3. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This game was getting on this list one way or another. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was the dream fighting game I've always wanted. I love playing fighting games, but you probably wouldn't tell that being the genre is underrepresented on the list. Anywho, this is a celebration of gaming, bringing over 80 plus characters from the various gaming franchises such as Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, and much more. The constant updates as far as the game modes, DLC, and character mechanics help with the overall flow of the game. I play the most with either friends or online, which in similarity to Nitro Fuel, they can use some improvements. But some more positives are the massive soundtrack that brings me back to my childhood. The mechanics, in which I think are some of the best, bringing together mechanics from the past games, and the adventure/spirits mode that allows you to collect pieces of gaming history in the form of spirits. The customization is insane, allowing you to create your own stages, Mii fighters, and rule sets for the matches. This is the number 1 most played game on my Nintendo Switch, but the number 2 played game is actually number 2 on this list. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This game is a masterpiece in its own mind, possibly the greatest open world game Nintendo has baked and let out the oven fresh. Now, allow me to tell you how seasoned Breath of the Wild is. This game gives you the absolute freedom to do whatever you like. If you want to go to Hyrule Castle to fight the final boss from the start, go ahead. If you want to take your time and collect every single last thing you see, then go ahead. This game rewards exploration. The combat system works with the open world of Hyrule because weapons break, which is a controversial decision amongst the player base, but I think it's great, allowing you to really search for those greater and better weapons. There are side missions that diversify the land of Hyrule and really makes it realistic in a sense. With the addition of weather and elemental properties in weapons and enemies, you must strategize how you will go into battle, or whether you should go to battle. There is so much more I want to talk about with this game, but if you have a Nintendo Switch, this is a must buy. I am looking forward to the sequel, which hopefully comes out later this year. Now, before I go into my number 1 pick, here are some games that I'm playing right now that may change this list later on. The first game is Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I understand the backlash and everything going on at launch, but you know what? I'm gonna give this game a try. Next game on the list is Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but I believe I'm halfway through the game, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to complete this. Or actually, no, I'm gonna take my time on it because it's a delightful experience. In the final game, which I am 100% sure is going to change this list, is Final Fantasy VII, the OG version and the remake. Right now, I am completely speechless as how great the story is, but I'll save that for another video. And now for my number 1 pick, Persona 5 Royal. This game is an artist's masterpiece from the jump, and it's consistent throughout the game. The soundtrack is a banger, having a heavy jazz influence, which intensifies the experience. Now, before I go on and on about the soundtrack, let me get into the gameplay, which will make it seem like you're playing 2 games in one. One is a social sim that you're trying to live your life as a high school student of Shujin Academy, leveling up confidence by hanging out with them doing all kinds of activities, in which everything you do in the social sim will aid you when you are going through the second part of the game, which is dungeon-like palaces similar to a classic JRPG. My favorite part about this is that you're going to do all this on a game calendar limit, which allows for freedom to do your tasks. One day you'll want to go dungeon crawling, and another you want to hang out with your friends at a jazz club. The possibilities are endless as long as you get through the time limit. Most people have said that this game has taken them around 100 plus hours to play. And there are so many things to do that I will guarantee that you'll not get through every single ounce of the story on your first playthrough. And these were my top 10 favorite games of all time. What are your top 10? Place your answer in the comments section. And thank you for your time. And to keep the kingdom seasoned, please like, share, subscribe, and keep hitting that notification bell. I'll see you all in the next video.